Yish. Today on the Ave Podcast, it's a reunion, a Rye High reunion. That's the nickname of our university, Ryerson, which is now called Toronto Metropolitan University. We won't even discuss that. But anyways, I'm joined by my Ryerson Sports Hall of Famer, Jan Michael Nation, as well as the head coach of UPLAY and founder of the Skills Refinement Group, Kamaka, as we discuss Nikola Jokic and his quest for his third MVP. What in the actual hell is happening with all the scoring in the NBA, and if it's even good for the league? Plus, we get into the LeBron James and the scoring record, and if it changes our perception of him. If it's time to retool the Phoenix Suns, then we get into an extensive Fred VanVleet conversation, and if him and the Raptors should split up, and we dive deeper into some Raptors issues. All right, please enjoy, man. This one was fun. This is a good one. South Shore Ave is available wherever you listen to podcasts and YouTube. Listen, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you take in my content. Wherever you take in my content, including the YouTube. 5 stars. I need that. So give it to me like Rick James. Show that love. Show that love, man. It only costs you about 3.6 seconds or less out of your time. All right, let's get to it. And check out the website over at southshoreave.com for all things South Shore Ave. Once again, that is southshoreave.com. It's the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shore Ave Radio. Go Rams. And also, Bent Not Broken. If you know, you know. Rest in peace.
Welcome to the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shore Ave Radio.
All right, welcome to the Ave Podcast. And if you're a fan of the 2000-2001 Ryerson Rams men's basketball team, you're really going to love this episode. My first guest was the assistant coach of that team, who called me Calvin from McDonald's when we first met. But he's a legend. But he's a legend in the city for our generation. He's the head coach of UPLAY and founder of the Skills Refinement Group. It's no wonder I still give him props at this point in my life. Kamaka, welcome to the show, sir. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, brother.
No problem. I'm also joined by my ride or die brother on that team, the MVP of our squad, and he has so much waves in his hair we used to literally call him 730. And to this day, he floats into outer space if he hears anything produced by RL from Next. But he also plays overseas, or he played overseas for close to 10 years. He's in the Rye High Hall of Fame, and he's pivoted to a life of balance as a certified yoga instructor. So please welcome Jan Michael Nation to the show.
Holy, man. Hey, I'm going to get you, man. Okay, thank you, man. Thank you very much. That one, hey, you keep outdoing yourself every time I do this podcast, man. How you introduce me. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Wow.
You're a yoga instructor. Don't worry about that, bro.
No. Hey, we'll talk about that later. I'm getting destroyed on the streets. But anyways, go on.
Is it because you drink your fruity water?
No,
man. Like guys just are not receptive. They don't understand it. So the stigma is what they think of it.
Mm-hmm. So they calling you Yogi in the streets? That's what's happening?
Tony's been calling me Yogi, Yogi Nation. They call me everything, man. It's just it is what it is. I stopped posting my yoga stuff because guys are saving it and making memes out of it. You understand? Like, if you can just look at my social media, man. The last 20 posts, there's always these sly comments or saying #saved. You know what I'm saying? So you live with you take the good with the bad.
Man, live your truth, brother. Live your truth.
Yeah. I know. I know it's all love.
Yeah, we got a ton of stuff to discuss, so I'm gonna get right to it. Now, I know, and having these individual conversations with both of you, in the past few years, I don't know whether to leave this conversation for last or we should start it first. But it's about LeBron James. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to leave that for last, or do you want to start it first?
I'll leave it away.
You want to leave it last?
Okay. All right, go for it. He wants to get out of the way.
Oh, you want to get out of the way?
He's tired, man. He's not going to have the energy towards the end of the podcast. So he's amped now. He knows he doesn't have a full tank. So let's go for it.
All right. So, with LeBron James, obviously he's approaching Kareem's scoring record. Where do you guys rank him? Does him getting this scoring record change your current opinion of him? O'Neal, since you're yawning, I'll start with you first.
No, it does not. I think I have him 7th in the top 10 list.
You have him 7th. Okay.
7 doesn't do anything for me. I look at it this way. At one point, Jason Kidd was a 3-point makes list, and we know Jason Kidd can hit the bottom of an ocean.
Right.
So I was like, how is Jason Kidd in the top 10 on the 3-point list? Oh, wait a minute. He played 19 years in the NBA. So he played 19 years in the NBA. Those numbers add up, right? And everybody knew that Steve Nash was a better shooter than Jason Kidd. But Steve Nash wasn't in the top 10. Steve Nash had injuries, shortened his career. So when it comes to LeBron, part of it is just you're able to play long, right? So you're able to take care of everybody, but a lot of it is luck. When you're playing for 20 years, a lot of that is luck because you avoided major injuries. That has nothing to do with basketball skill, nothing to do with what you do on the basketball court. And as great players, if you're able to, being great means that you're being consistent. So the numbers add up. Kareem was able to avoid injuries, and he played till he was 42. So at the end of the day, longevity comes down to really luck and avoiding, landing on somebody's knee, popping your Achilles.
Especially at this
like
stage,
that.
tearing your knee and meniscus.
Yeah, body. And you look at Karl Malone. Karl Malone went for a long time until his knees went out his last years with the Lakers, and then after that he was done. So that has nothing to do with what LeBron is doing on the court. It's just, it's just flat out luck that he is able to do longevity. And again, some guys, they could play for a long time, body holds up, and some guys, their body. And then you have guys like, what's his face? Odin, right? Where this guy, Mr. Glass, his body breaks down right away. So, Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, a lot of guys got debilitated by injuries early in their career. And, but some guys are fortunate, their bodies hold up, and some guys aren't. So that's my take on it. Does not change my opinion on LeBron, what he's doing whatsoever.
All right, Nation.
All right. In some respects, I agree with Mr. Kamaka. In some respects, I disagree. I would put him in the top 4, top 3 right now. But in a sense of regards to head-to-head with Jordan, I wouldn't put him ahead of Jordan because he's still playing. I think there's a couple. Who knows how much more longer he's going to play? So we could see his full body of work. So we don't know what's going to happen if he plays 4 or 5 years. We don't know what that's going to look like. As of right now, I would give the nod to Jordan. Right now, definitely. I can't. It'll be ignorant of me to do so. But I am a big LeBron James fan, and I appreciate what he does, especially his body of work. Kamaka talked about the longevity. I think that is definitely a factor, but it also comes into play with basketball IQ, knowing how to use your body, maintain your body, which he has done. He was known in his early career as just a slasher, great passer. He wasn't known for scoring. And as you know, in the last 10 years of his career, he's been adding different skill sets. I won't say it's on par with his peers like Kevin Durant, but man, oh man, has he ever worked on his mid-range game, his post game, his handles, his passing. I think those areas have improved. He's maintained to have a higher scoring average than his overall average, which is impressive. It's not the same amount of... The game has evolved. So what he used to do to carry a team isn't working in this modern day. It's just a different game. So I would hold him right now as in the top 3 at the highest. I think when his body of work is done, then we could say and compare. But I notice it's all opinions. But it's funny. All the older heads obviously put Jordan up there and other people, and the younger generation is gravitating towards LeBron. So it'll be interesting to see what the narrative will be in, let's say, 20 years from now, right? When people are a little phased out, you got more new people because you got a lot of old journalists on all these hot takers on these shows that have been in the game for over 30, 40 years. When you start phasing out these guys, you can have a younger, more fresher opinion with people that didn't see Jordan play. Because, I have arguments at the barbershop. It's hilarious because you got people trying to have massive opinions on basketball, and they didn't even make the junior high school team in high school. So it's just like, I can't talk to you. I can't, you know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. But at the end of the day, I just learned to appreciate it. As well as Jordan, I remember the last few years of Jordan and when he retired and how it was just such an emptiness. You know what I'm saying? I remember those years against Detroit, all those years against Bird, when he lost against Detroit, those years crying, tears, watching the Jordan commercials, want to be like Mike, all that. This guy influenced the game in ways that no one else has ever. I think LeBron has come close, definitely come close, but it's generational. So I can't expect the same impact that Jordan had on LeBron will have because of an older man now. I just learned to appreciate the game because of the skill sets and the challenges that this man has faced. You know what I'm saying? So that's my opinion on it all.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't. I'm kind of like with O'Neal. It doesn't change anything for me personally. Like I still feel like he's the best player of his generation for sure. You know, he's definitely one of the best players of all time. You know, and I've said this before that I always felt like the LeBron Jordan comparison or argument is contrived. I feel like it's completely media driven. I definitely don't think this was an authentic argument from the beginning. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I remember when I first started hearing this, it was after LeBron got his second title with the Heat when he went back to back, and then all of a sudden you're hearing the ESPN guys are like, "Oh well, is he inching closer to Michael?" And I'm like, "How is he inching closer to Michael? He just went back to back with a super stacked team. Like what? What are we talking about here?" And then within, that argument kept going, and then within about 7-8 months, now you're walking into a barbershop, now you're walking into a gym, and now you're walking into a get together. Now everybody's like, "Yeah, I don't know, man, it's kind of close," and you're just like, "Wow," like it just felt like that was just contrived. You know what I mean? So that's why I never really liked the argument. But forgetting the Jordan LeBron argument for a moment, I'm hoping that by passing Kareem, I'm hoping that Kareem's accomplishments, it gets more shine and it doesn't get diminished even further. Because I always said, like, when they have this discussion, the best players of all time, I'm like, why do we always ignore Kareem? I don't care if he's a big man. You have a man, high school. I was going to say that.
I don't think. Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
No, I was going to say that you have a man that, like, if you look at the body of his work, he lost 2 games in high school, lost 1 in college. They had to change the rules, the NCAA rules, and not allow dunking when he was playing. He didn't even play his first year in the league at UCLA. The next 3 years they won like 88-2 or something like that, or 88-1, and he won all 3 outstanding players of the year. He goes to the league, becomes the all-time leading scorer, 6 titles, 6 MVPs, and we don't even mention this guy in the conversation. You know what I mean? So,
I agree. He definitely doesn't get the love. Definitely doesn't get the love or the recognition. And I think it has a lot to do with his personality.
For sure.
That hurt him because of his personality outside 100%. Of the game. I think that killed him because he wanted to be a head coach, and they would not allow him to.
Yeah, I mean, all the knowledge that guy has just from being the player that he was never really got shared on a public scale, right? Very smart. A worldly, personality, but, in terms of how we appreciate him, he doesn't get viewed the same way. And a lot of it, what you're saying is because of how he treated the media back in the day. But when you look at, like, old footage of him playing, that guy can play right now. Especially the Milwaukee Kareem, like, when you look at him, that's like a Tim Duncan. That's like a, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like a Embiid. That's not Embiid because of the size, but, like, well, actually, no, skill-wise, that's like an Embiid. That's like an Olajuwon. You know what I mean? And then you got the greatest shot of all time, which is that skyhook, right? Yeah. Like to me, I'm like, it's hard to compare eras. That's why I don't like having that argument. But I just hope that, like, with him passing that record, it doesn't mean that we just completely push Kareem, off the face of the axis for the rest of his life, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Or until he passes. I hope that we actually, like, really acknowledge what this guy's done in the game. Because I think it's hugely important for all the stuff that he's done from high school to, and then back then he played until his 40s, which is unprecedented at the time too. Yeah. I mean, he was a yoga man early too.
Yeah. Oh, he was way ahead of his time.
Real talk though. Real talk.
Yeah. from the civil rights movement to he was around. He was there. He lived it. You know what I'm saying? No doubt. And he played ball at the same time. Where Magic was partying his ass off, this guy was making change within the communities in LA. But with that said, he played a long career. He was a skilled big. That record stood for almost 30, 40 years?
40, yeah. Boy, 40 years.
Yeah, all right.
8 years, something like
that. So that's why, I thought if anyone's going to break it, I thought for sure Jordan was. Then when he retired the first time, I said, okay, that's not going to happen. I thought Karl Malone was going to beat it, but then he broke down.
And I think when he hurt his knee in LA, referencing what O'Neal was saying before, that's that last year. I think that
he broke down because I actually I learned something from watching him. I was like, wow, that's what it is. Because this guy was in his mid-30s and still one of the top elite power forwards in the game for years.
Yep.
So he was another player that had a good, strong career, even though he played a physical game. He played, 19 years, I think? Almost 20 years.
He played 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's to me kind of how I see it. And even Kobe, I thought Kobe could have had a chance too, but then once he tore his Achilles,
that was it. Yeah,
that was it for him as well. But I thought he had a chance too.
All-time scoring, they're all bigs, right? 6'9".
Mm-hmm.
What are they? And where are they mostly close to? The basket, right?
Right.
So it says something about being close to the basket and just getting easy layups. Right? I remember one time LeBron went 11 for 11, and people were creaming themselves. Are you serious?
Oh,
they're like 10 layups. There were 10 layups. He made 10 layups. 10 layups. And people were freaking out.
Kamaka, this is a PG podcast.
And then he hit a mid-range shot, just by the free throw line. And people were freaking out. And I'm like, he's 6'9", 260, bro. He's supposed to be making layups.
Yeah.
So the point is, if you look at these bigs, they're by the basket. Low, high percentage shots. Basic basketball. The closer you are to the rim, the higher percentage of your shots. Layups, easy buckets. I'll take this even a little bit further. When you do the game two ball, you ever do the two ball at a camp or for fun?
Yeah.
Right? You have the different spots. Where do people go that mostly win? Right at the rim. They just,
right at the rim, yeah.
Just getting those 2 points right at the rim, right? So it says something about just going for high percentage shots, layups, right? Why is Kareem not the GOAT? Because I don't think Kareem was as dominant. I don't think, Kareem had a great move that was unstoppable, but I don't think he was dominant. And he played, 27 years, won 6 chips, and part of that is being on a good team. How many scoring titles does Kareem have?
Because he got some in the tail end, playing up, backing up Magic.
Exactly. So,
but I mean most. I would say the Showtime was most of that decade, but the latter half of that decade is when Magic took it over. Prior to that, it was still going through Kareem.
Yeah, you go into the center with that sky hook. You play inside out. The mentality of basketball up until when was it? The mid 2000. What was it? I'll probably say 2000 and past 2010, maybe the mid, 2012, 13. It was always go inside. The mentality of basketball was go inside, high percentage shot, closer to the rim. Even though Don Nelson, and honestly, I learned this when I was at Oakland, back in '89. My first year was the high school coach was like threes more than two. But the prevailing mentality was a three is a low percentage shot. You always want to go for the high percentage shot.
Right.
And that was drilled in. I remember watching The Last Dance, and, they're showing highlights. And I remember times where you see Jordan catch the ball at the three-point line, but nobody's really guarding him, so he dribbles in or pull up or attacking the basket.
Yeah.
And it's the mentality, right? Even when I was up until I'm coaching at George Brown, I remember we were playing a game and we couldn't make an outside shot. The team was in the zone. And I remember my assistant coaches, we got to drive to the basket. I'm like, they're packing it in. So you got to shoot the ball. But the mentality was get to the rim, get to the rim, right? And that's changed, right? That's changed where the three ball is now people realizing, again, it's probably if you can shoot the three, threes more than two, so it's probably better to shoot the three. So who knows? Maybe you see a guard, get the scoring record. Maybe see somebody like Doncic.
Yeah,
Somebody,
I guess that was my question I was going to ask too. Like, do you think this record? I don't think this record's lasting another 38 years.
Oh no. If Steph Curry can stay healthy, and the way he shoots the three, if Doncic can stay healthy, the way he shoots the three.
I don't think Doncic can stay healthy. I don't think the way he plays, his usage rate, and you got to remember he's been playing a lot younger than everyone else at a higher rate. So he's had a lot of
knowledge already.
Yeah, he's had lower like he's at his best rate right now. If he can maintain this, sorry.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with his usage rate. It has how he takes care of his body. The guy's
that too,
faster.
But his usage rate. But okay, hold on. Let me finish this. It has a lot to do with his usage rate because he can burn out. Oh yes. Okay, hold on. His usage rate is very high in the regular season, and it goes even higher in the playoffs. That if he's if he takes care of his body, that will help definitely. This is the first year since he's been in the league that he's been in shape.
That helps. Period. Talking about dribbling the basketball doesn't break down your body. It's when you're trying to be explosive, bro. You're a bloody yoga instructor. You should know this. Is when you're doing all that pounding, running and jumping. Barely jumps.
Yes. Jumps. But he takes a lot of pounding. He takes a lot. He's always on the deck. He's always on the. Hold on. He's always on the deck. He's always injured. Okay. Harden had a high. Okay, I'll use Harden. We'll use Harden. James Harden had a massive high usage rate. And look at him.
You bring the guys out of shape.
I know, and that's what I said. And I said, this is his first year in shape.
Exactly. So
we don't know. So I'm saying if he stays in shape, he has a possibility of achieving it.
That's what
but he has not shown that consistently up to this point.
You're talking about usage rate. It has nothing to do with usage rate.
It has a part to with it, yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, that's your opinion.
He's at the top of the key, dribbling the ball. He hits you to step back, shoot the three.
No, he goes into the basket enough. Since he's in better shape, he's attacking the basket more than he has in the last couple of years in particular.
If he stops drinking the sweet tea and is being fat and out of shape, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm saying,
I don't think the usage rate.
How many years has he been in the league, Kamaka? How many years has he been in the league?
Doncic?
Yeah.
It's year 5 right now.
Okay. And how many of those years has he played in optimal shape?
Has he played in
optimal shape?
Jen, you're agreeing with my point. That's what I said. If he's
I'm asking a question. I need your answer.
I don't know. None.
Okay, this is the first year. Yes. So, like I said, if he can maintain this, wow, his numbers that he's putting up already are better than LeBron's at this stage of their career.
I know that.
Right? So if this will be interesting, man. This kid is he's gonna revolutionize. I don't even know what to say about this guy. What this guy could do. It's impressive. That 60 triple-double was stupid.
Because I think the biggest thing, too, is you got to be able to score from a rookie age. Like, somebody like Giannis would have been a good candidate, but Giannis had those first few years when he was kind of a journeyman, had to work his way up. So, I don't think he would get it, even though I think he can maintain the shape to try. He's
He's a grinder, though. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
But he's
going to go for it. You know it's on his mind.
Who, Doncic?
I can see Giannis catching it.
Yeah, I can see him do it.
He's close to the rim. He takes care of his body.
Great care of, yeah.
I can see Giannis catching it.
And the game isn't as physical.
Close to the rim.
I thought KD would have gave LeBron a run for it if he would have stayed healthy.
Yeah, the injuries too. The last few years. Even that year when he missed, when he broke his foot in OKC, all that shit adds up, right?
Yeah.
All that shit adds up. But like Giannis has a pretty good shot too. Because, as you mentioned, O'Neal, the guy's in phenomenal shape. And the way he works, and on top of that, the game is not as physical as it once was, right? So him attacking the basket, like he's doling out those beatings. He doesn't get like hit like a Shaq did like back, like 20 years ago, right? When he's attacking, or like an Ryerson, like you get thrown out the game if you get some of those fouls now, right? So He's a threat for it too, but I think because those few years when he was averaging 6-7 points a game and then 10 and then 13, that might catch him. You know what I mean? Not so much the injuries, just the slow start, not scoring as much. Like he's getting 30 a game now, like it's nothing for the last few years. But like, you know what I mean? But it's just those, like, I think that has to add up at a certain point, right? Mm-hmm. That has to add up to a certain point. But yeah, but I think I said so I guess we're all in agreement. It's not really changing our opinion.
No.
Because I hear some people like, oh, well, it's, like you have to consider he's going to be I'm like, how? Why does that change? It's like Emmitt Smith, right? Like when Emmitt Smith won the rushing title in football, he's a bad boy. Regardless of his offensive line, he's a bad boy. I give him all his props, but he wasn't Barry Sanders. I'm sorry. He wasn't.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
No.
He wasn't.
No.
Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like anybody had eyes could see that. Right?
Again, he had a great offensive line. He stayed healthy, and he's just consistent.
Yeah. And there's props for that. There is props for that. You know what I mean? But that's more of a maintenance thing. You know what I mean? Than is that a skill set thing? I don't know.
Well, actually, Barry Sanders wasn't even hurt a lot. It's just his offensive line.
But no, he wasn't hurt a lot either. But he just retired early.
Yeah, it's because he's like, yo, Detroit sucks. My offensive line sucks. This organization sucks. I'm good.
Yeah, he had enough. He retired at 30. Remember, he was like a season away from breaking the record himself. Yeah. He was still in his prime. Like he could, like if he was concerned about what to do with that rushing record, like nobody would have touched that, even now. You know what I mean? But like I said, I think the last thing before I move on, it's like with LeBron, and this goes to the next point I'm going to talk about, what just where scoring is now. Like he's going to play a few more years to this because, again, to my point earlier, you don't get touched the same way. So, a 38-year-old LeBron is still averaging 28, 29 a game. 20 years ago, with the pounding and the physicality, would he be able to would that still be able to be happening? I'm not saying he still wouldn't be a great player. He would, but is he getting almost 30 a night still? You know what I mean? At this stage of the game, you know what I mean? It's hard to say, but I say all this to say too, like, what's up with the levels of scoring, man? Like, I know you guys are watching the league right now. Like, I guess I'll start with you, Jan. Like, what are you thinking about when you're seeing the high scoring games and all these 50, 60 point games and everything that's happening so far? This season's like, we're not even halfway through the year yet.
I think for the average fan, it's a delight. But I think sometimes it just devalues the regular season. Mm-hmm. I think as the years go on, the regular season is showing less and less importance. Hence, what the players resting and travel and all that stuff. But like, I don't know. I think it's good in the sense of what they're doing, in the sense of the excitement. But it just shows that the level of defense is not being played. The guys are going to the line a lot more. Like Mitchell scored 71. Wow.
I know.
Like I watched the highlights. He was attacking the basket. He was hitting threes. He was hitting free throws. He was creating for others. It was a lot, but like it was more or less he started going off in the second half. But it's still impressive. 71 is still 71. I remember on his LeBron scored 47 on his birthday. Giannis had 55. Doncic had 60. When Donovan Mitchell scored the 71 points, Klay Thompson scored 55 the same night. But we'll never know that because of the 71, right?
Jan, not only that, the opponent he was playing against, DeMar DeRozan, had 44 in the same game.
Oh, okay. You see what I'm saying? Like
we don't even know that.
It just shows. Okay, another thing. It's both sides of the fence. It shows the skill set of shooting and the art of shooting and the art of scoring has gone to another level. You know what I'm saying? How to attack the basket, the shots, the threes, the mid range. Watching DeRozan is a mid range. I think watching him score those big points is amazing because he's not shooting too many threes. It's all mid range and free throws, and then just attacking the basket. So. It's impressive. I'm impressed with it, but at this more like once again, I'm waiting for the playoffs. That's the real season for me.
And I guess I'll ask it as a two-sided question too. And O'Neal, you could jump in on this. Like, do you guys enjoy watching it the way it is now? Like the way the scoring is right now?
So for me, the only team I watch is the Raptors, which is funny because before I watch other teams, maybe watch the Raptors sometimes until the playoffs. But I watch the Raptors now a lot. I guess because I like Scotty Barnes, I like the guys on the team.
Right.
I like how they have grinders on the team. I wait till playoffs. I think it's good for the league because you have the casual fans who love it. Purists like me, I wait till the playoffs because that's the real season. That's when you see who's who. Honestly, the scoring, I remember watching, guys put up big numbers. Charles Barkley putting up 56. Like, guys putting up big numbers. David Robinson dropped 71.
Right.
So to me, it's still the same. During the regular season, depending on which city you're in, if guys are tired or guys decide to go the night before, I think load management does help. Guys are not as tired.
Mm-hmm.
And so guys are a bit more fresher. So everything is geared up to make sure that the entertainment value is very high for the fans and the casual fans to bring people in. But basketball purists such as ourselves, we know that the real season is the playoffs. That's when every single possession counts. That's when it brings even the casual fans will love it even more, but that's when the purists really get excited because that's when you see who's who. The defense tightens up, and the scoring is not as high. If this was happening during the playoffs, then it'd be like, oh, during the regular season, bro, I don't care if like 10 guys are dropping 100 a game. It's the regular. I know men don't care about the regular season really. Some games guys don't care to take it off. But playoffs, let this happen in the playoffs, and then. I kind of be like,
we need to fix this. Yeah, we need to fix this if this is the case.
Yes, but right now it's not happening in the playoffs. It's happening during regular season. I don't care about regular season. And again, if you know that to be a great scorer, you have to score at all levels of the game, unless you're Michael Jordan. Because if he had a 3-point shot, if he was playing in this era again where the mentality was different, right? He would definitely be a 3-point shooter. Because the thing that I think people who don't understand Michael Jordan is if he accepted all challenges, there's nothing you could tell him that he couldn't do.
Right.
And so if you're like, oh, you can't shoot the three, he's like, yeah.
He would have been a good 3-point shooter.
He would have been a great 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's how he's built, his mentality. That's why he's the greatest. Because I think what people don't understand is being the GOAT has nothing to do with your physical skills, has to do with what's between your ears. And that's why Jordan is the greatest ever. But again, you're living in an era where now people really understanding, shoot the 3 ball. So guys are scoring at the mid-range. DeMar DeRozan is a throwback to old school. DeMar DeRozan, again, remember, D. Wade was like that too.
Yeah.
Rip Hamilton. I can go through guys mid-range scorers, right? But weren't great 3-point shooters. D. Wade wasn't a great 3-point shooter.
Yeah, I think he was like 30% for his career or something like that.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan's not a great 3-point shooter. But it's the mid-range. It's killing guys in the mid-range. So, to me, I've seen this before. There's nothing that I'm overly excited about. I've seen guys drop 71 before. Kobe dropped 81. You see guys dropping 60. Kobe's dropping how many games where he goes dropping 50-something points. There's one game he dropped 4 games in.
I mean, that was kind of unprecedented, though, when he was doing it, though. Let's be real.
So at the end of the day, you see guys putting up big numbers. It's like, yeah, whatever. Let me see that during the playoffs. When that's happening in the playoffs, then I'll be like, okay. For regular season, it doesn't track on my radar. It doesn't come up and like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Other people, they need to talk about something, especially in this sports 24-hour all access news cycle. They need to talk about something. So if that gives them another story to talk about, then so be it.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think the scoring's too high. Like, I don't mean necessarily the players, even though, like, as of right now, we got 11 players that's dropped 50 or more, and we're barely into the new year. But there was a game earlier this year where the Knicks had 135 points and lost in double digits. That game didn't go to overtime. You had the Thunder beat the Celtics by scoring 150 points. They blew them out without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that game didn't go to overtime. The T-Wolves had 150 points against the Bulls about a month and a half ago. Same thing. That game didn't go to overtime. you're regularly seeing games where it's like 78 to 69 at halftime. You know what I mean? But for me, like, I'm an offense advocate, but I don't enjoy it the same way that I was before, just being honest. Like, because some games to me, like, as much as the talent level as high as it is, like, there's some games to me where I'm watching some games and I'm like, I found myself mentally checking out because I feel like I'm watching one long 3-point contest, you know? But then there's great talent that you want to see, even like the shitty teams like Orlando who's playing tonight, for example, who I want to watch because some of the young talent that they got. So it's like I find the season so far, the regular season so far, to be like a bit of a clusterfuck. Like, I don't know what to think of it. Like, I can't even tell you who I think should win MVP right now. Right now, up until last week, you had 7 guys averaging over 30 plus a game. Like, that's unprecedented. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's where I'm kind of like, I'm enjoying it, but I'm kind of like, this is also weird at the same time. I guess that's the purist in me is like, I flinch when I'm watching some of these scores.
Once again, you got to remember, for the same simple fact, I agree with what Kamaka said. Once again, we just like, the regular season is all for playoff positioning, really. And, you know, the real season is the playoffs. It's good for the casual fan. It's good for the hot takers on the journalist stuff to have, because social media has gone, we have information overload now. So we got everything at your fingertips. So it's good for the news cycle. But, I mean, once again, we're all waiting for the playoffs because we know we're going to see who's going to show up. You know what I mean?
Now, speaking of which, right now the phenomenon that is Nikola Jokic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this guy's been amazing the last few years, actually. Like, you know, it's I actually really enjoy watching him play. I'm trying to see him play the Raptors when they come in town in March. Mm-hmm. But with that said, would it be acceptable for him to win, at least in your guys' eyes, for him to three-peat the MVP award?
Of course.
You think that's acceptable? Okay. Reason?
Why wouldn't it be acceptable if he, like, I don't like, the problem is, and this is why, first of all, I don't put any stock on, when Michael Jordan didn't win MVP every year, that's what I knew was crap.
Right.
And what I've come to realize, it's just about the narrative the media wants to drive.
Wants to put out.
Right? So the media always drives the narrative of who gets MVP because they vote. They're like, I don't feel like, they'll blatantly tell you, we're not going to give it to Jokic this year. Right?
I don't feel like voting
for him. Doesn't matter what he does, but I don't think somebody, like, bro, what are you talking about? The guy's playing at a high level. He's, like you said, it's amazing to watch him play. His basketball IQ is off the chart. He's giving you rebounds, scoring, assists. He's orchestrating the offense, right? He's making that offense run. And as a big man doing all this stuff, and you don't want to give him the MVP because you don't want somebody to win it 3 years in a row. You start, like, if he deserves the MVP, give it to him. It's just that simple. If he's carrying a team, and especially a Denver team that people, weren't sure how well they'll do. They figured they'll make the top 8, but they're doing real well. So I think they were in first place at one point.
No, they are right now. I think they're tied for first.
Well, there you go.
They're tied for first.
So I thought somebody said I thought it was another team, but you're right. And why not let him get it 3 years in a row? He's playing at a high level. Reward for him, right? Reward. I think he should get. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's not.
Do you think he's a leader right now in terms of the MVP race so far? It's hard to say. To me, it's hard to say because I think there's so many nominees right now. But
like who? He's consistent. Like who?
Well, Luka's one. Giannis is another. Tatum's another. KD until he got hurt was another. Even Donovan Mitchell right now is you can make.
Well, why Donovan Mitchell? Because he had a 71-point game.
No, hell no. That had nothing to do with the 71. I'm not fooled by that. Come on now. But I'm saying with him, like the way he's played and elevated his team and elevated his play all around.
Like he got locked up. Locked up when he played the Raptors. He his numbers against the Raptors,
which is crazy, right? The 2 times he plays the Raptors, he scores under 10 points
consistently. Tatum has been consistent. Okay, KD has been consistent. I don't know about Donovan Mitchell. Luka is definitely consistent from the beginning. But again, if you're looking at Jokic, he has a team in first place. And Jamal's slowly coming along. Yeah. So I think the fact that it's like really a one-man show.
And Porter's still hurt.
Definitely gives the Jokic.
And Porter still. No, I mean, Mitchell's been there for the. Honestly, outside of the Raptors, Mitchell's been there from the beginning. Seriously, outside of the Raptors, the OG's the only guy that's been able to hold him down this whole season.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been balling pretty much. He's been balling pretty much against everybody else. The rest of the league the whole year. It's just for some reasons. Well, I can't even say some reason. OG's been really holding him down. I think that's the reason why. But and the reason why I bring this up is because, to your point earlier, is because how the narratives and the precedent gets changed. Of course, Jordan could have won it every year, right? But he didn't, right? Like he never three-peated. The only two players in NBA history that's three-peated is Bird in 84 to 86 and Bill Russell, right? So like I'm looking at it from the perspective of like I wouldn't even go through all the annals of history. Like even 2 years ago, Giannis was a 2-time MVP. I mean, 2 years ago, he could have got it. Like the first year Joker won it. He could have got it. I mean, he won All-Star MVP. He was Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, and he won a chip. He won it. He won the MVP the other 2 years in a row. Why couldn't he give it to him that year, right? I'm just using it as a recent example. So
I'll say this. The one thing I'll say, I thought last year, even though Jokic had a great individual statistic season, I thought Embiid would have got it.
I thought
right?
so too. Yeah.
But I was okay with either one getting it, and I was surprised that he got it because I thought Embiid had a more dominant year. But you can't deny his impact on the game. You can't impact. It's not to say it's dominant, but like for example, it says here Jokic averages 100 touches per game, the most in the league this season. But his average time per touch ranks 69th. That offense is predicated around Jokic because he's the engine that makes it work. He facilitates from the high post, from the top of the key there. The handoffs, the passing is just off the charts, and that slow up fake. Like you have to honor it, and then the footwork and then the touch within the key is it's just magical to watch. These off the wrong foot runners, it's amazing.
It's crazy to watch.
It's crazy to watch. This year, I think it's too early to say. It's once again we have a whole bunch of candidates that can. That are going for it in the sense of Giannis. I'll say Giannis, in my opinion, Giannis, Doncic, Tatum,
KD,
and
until he got hurt because he's going to be out of.
KD got hurt. Yeah, KD.
Steph was in the running for that too until he got hurt himself.
Who?
Steph was in the running for that too until he got hurt
himself.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah, he was. It's still early. We're not even at the halfway point, so there's a lot of games to be played.
Right.
Definitely, your team is definitely the way you position your team during the regular season. It will definitely help your narrative, and obviously on top of the stats that you put up. But it's up for grabs. It's definitely up for grabs, and it'll be interesting to see who gets it.
Yeah, I guess I kind of look at it too, where I'm like, in terms of narratives, the last couple of years, the NBA.com's been putting out their weekly MVP rankings, which I don't like that. Because I think that influences people's opinions, right? When you're watching it week to week, and you're like, oh, not us, but I'm just saying week to week, the casual fan or the maybe a little more than the casual fan is looking at that like, oh well, fuck, he's number one. He's been number one for 3 weeks.
Kamaka said earlier, they you got to remember it's a journalist that vote.
Yeah.
Right. So they start the narratives and they control the narrative, and then we watch it unfold. So it'll be interesting to see when there's like it's just good basketball for that once again the average fan because it's so up in the air, so it keeps the interest alive. So we'll see what happens. So, like there's a lot of games to be played. Who knows of injuries, God forbid. But you know what I'm saying. So time will tell the tale.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. But I just find it interesting to see like people are starting to like already give it to him. I know it's January, but I'm kind of like, why are we doing this so early? You know what I mean? Like, why are we even having this conversation? You know what I mean? Especially the way the season's so open right now. Like we have no idea.
So last year, Jokic became the first NBA player to score over a minimum of 2,000 points 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in a season. First ever player. When I heard that last year, I said that's a great stat to help the MVP narrative. Right. I go, if he ever gets that MVP, it will be because of that stat, and I think that's what influenced those journalists.
Yeah, but I agree with you. As much as I love the Joker, God, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to downplay him. I love him. I love watching him play. But I agree with you. I thought Embiid should have got it last year too.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But then I'm looking at you're talking about the slow pump fake. I'm looking at his splits. He's shooting 61 overall from the field, even though he takes a few threes a game. But he's shooting 37% from three. And 82 from the line, so you can't foul him either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His stats are stupid. It makes no sense, man. This guy,
he had a 40-27 game the other day.
Yeah, I know. And he's getting like 20. Sometimes he's getting like high double-digit rebounds.
Yeah.
On top, like he can average a triple-double if he truly wanted to.
Well, he's right there. He's half an assist away per game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
from getting it right now.
Yeah. As a center, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
You know what I'm saying? And his numbers have been like steady.
Yeah.
Steady.
And he ratchets it up, and then he's got some games where he'll take like 8 shots, and he's cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like he's a unique athlete, man. Like he's a modern, like I say, he's a modern day Sabonis, but without Sabonis' athleticism. Like last thing I'll say about him, like I had a friend of mine who went to, I think last year.
He's moving well since he shed the weight.
Yeah, but
he's moving very well.
But that's the point I was going to make. That I had a friend of mine I went to. I think he went to see him play Denver last year or the year before, I think. And he's like, Calvin, he's like, the Joker moves, like in person, he's like, he moves better than you think. He's like, as much as you see it on TV, he's like, he's actually quicker in person than you think for that size. But it's he's like, the game is just on a string for him. It's like he's just in another world when he's on the court. It's like, it's crazy to watch, but it's like everything is just like, it's just moving to his pace. Doesn't matter who's on the floor. Everything just moves to his pace, on both sides of the floor. So it's crazy to see where everything is at right now. Do you think, in watching the Phoenix Suns right now, because right now they're at the 10th seed in the West, do you think it's time to either change up or retool the Suns?
They need to get rid of Ayton. He's a cancer.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be there. Yeah, definitely. Doesn't want to be there.
Do you think he's a cancer though, or do you think it's like, I mean, he didn't want to be there. I mean,
there's nothing worse than watching a teammate not put in, like when you're grinding and you're in the trenches and you're trying to win games and you have a player that doesn't want to be there and is not giving his all because he's not there, a mature first player. I don't know what's going on. There's definitely a disconnect from last season to this season.
I was going to ask you guys' opinion. What do you think exactly happened in Game 7? Because I mean, that old team fucked up, but it seemed like he took the blame for that.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Ever since then, it's never been the same. Like he wanted to.
But you know what? Here's where I think the new generation falls short. Sometimes you gotta let your game do the talking, and I don't think with everything he's done that. He doesn't look like he's like, sometimes he's like, everyone, with all the criticism and everything, just come out and let your game do the talking.
Right.
Devin Booker is out. My brother. Now, more than any other time, is the time to take the bull by the horns and show the world what you truly are. Remember, he was drafted number 1 over who? Doncic.
Yep.
Right? So that's a forgotten fact, right? Mm-hmm. So once again, it's disappointing. I think I agree with Kamaka. You got to get him out of there. Like, what's the space is not playing there? Like, there's so much dysfunction, and it surprises me because the head coach is such a stand-up guy.
Listen. At the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. John kind of touched on it. I've seen this as a coach, and that's why I cut guys based on their body. Because what you see is, here's what happens. Let's say a team, your team is doing well. They win a game.
Right.
You'll always have that guy, just his body language, like, just brings it down. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just bring, everybody's excited and you just have one guy just upset about something or, is not as excited as everybody else, right? Not everybody's on the same page. I think, from the outside, what I'm guessing is that held them accountable. Because remember, Monty Williams is from the Popovich tree,
Yep.
coaching tree,
Yep.
right? And Coach Popovich, one thing he does is he holds guys accountable, right?
Mhm.
And I don't think maybe Ayton wasn't doing something, running a player or doing whatever, and Monty was holding him accountable. And Ayton, being somebody who's been catered to his whole life, where everybody's a yes man and everybody's trying to get in his camp and be in his
Can't handle that. They can't handle that.
Yeah.
The real
Can't handle that, right? And Monty probably was trying to hold him accountable to something. You saw that
as
with
a man,
Pascal Siakam.
as a man.
Yeah.
You see?
You saw
That's
that with
what
Pascal
these
Siakam
false
last year with
principles.
Lakers.
Sorry, no, we didn't hear you there, O'Neal. You guys were talking over each other. What'd you say, O'Neal?
Well, I said you saw that with Pascal Siakam last year with Nick Nurse when he was holding Nick Nurse.
Yes.
Was holding
Yeah.
Pascal, and Pascal had his little, his little tantrum, right? So, I think there's something happened, and probably Ayton again doesn't like the way Monty Williams is talking to him or trying to hold him accountable now. He's throwing a long tantrum, and he's disgruntled, and he wants out of there, and he probably thinks he's better than what he is, and maybe things should be run through him, or he's not getting more touches, or whatever it is. So, they definitely need to get rid of Ayton. I guarantee you they get rid of Ayton. I mean, I don't want to say it, but
It's like they got to get rid of him, but then they also need him in a weird way too, though.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because I don't think they'll. What's out there can't replace what he provides, even though it's well short of his potential or where he should be. Because he should be. I personally think Aiden should be averaging like, let's say
20 and 10.
Yeah.
I would say
At least at the very least 20, like especially now that Booker's out, it should be 25 and 10.
That I agree with.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So the fact that that's not happening, he's wanted to have a bigger role within the team, and then here's the opportunity to do so. That you signed the contract, they matched it. Okay, it's unfortunate. You have to stay there. Okay, be a professional. Don't mix what's off the court, bring it onto the court, and vice versa. When you understand that as a player, it simplifies things because the not mixing stuff keeps things where it should stay. And a young man has a lot of growing up to do, in my personal opinion. But I can't speak on that because I don't know what's going on in that locker room. I'm not there, but you can tell something is off. Something's off.
Like he has put up some good stats since Booker's been out, but it's not consistent.
It's not consistent. Okay, he scored 14. He scored 14 against the Cavaliers. Okay, 23 against the Heat.
23 and 14.
15 against the Cavaliers again.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging 17.5 this year. That can't
happen. I agree.
After the flame out last year against Dallas, man. You know what I'm saying?
I don't dispute that.
Yeah,
I don't dispute that. And then on top of that, you got to pay Chris Paul $60 million over the next 2 years.
Yeah, but you can't.
Years old.
But his influence.
Oh, for sure.
His influence.
For sure.
Yeah. That's just a thank you, welcome tour. Hey, man, this is it, man. This is the last check you're gonna catch, buddy.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Here's my hot take.
Okay.
Okay. Here's what's Stephen A. Stephen A. Kamaka, go ahead.
Going into what Calvin's saying of breaking up, is Chris Paul really a winner?
No. I agree. Is
he really, like, as much as I love Chris Paul?
Yeah, I know.
But is he really a winner? Because that's all, at the end of the day, you judge based on that. Like,
yeah.
O'Neal,
I'll
add to what you're saying. He's got a 3-year shelf life on a team.
Agreed. Because his voice, he's too hard. He's too old school for these young bucks.
I don't even know if it's old school because he's always been like that, even from when he came in the league. He's got a 3-year shelf life before teammates tune him out. I'm not saying that's happening right now, but usually it's about 3 to 4 years where you start hearing the rumblings of, like this one's having trouble with CP3. It happened in New Orleans. It happened in the Clippers. It happened in Houston. You know what I mean? So it's like, to your point, O'Neal, I agree with you. But he's got a 3-year shelf life. 3 to 4 years.
Okay, but then he gets traded from Houston to OKC, and he takes them to the 8th seed or a 7th seed, I think it was. Yeah. And then they take Houston to a Game 7 within a basket.
Yeah, 1 year.
Within 1 year.
His only
his influence, in a sense, I think he has great leadership qualities. as a floor captain.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to a winner, I have to pause on that, and it hurts me to say that because I'm a big fan of this game and what he does. I would love the way he controls the game. I love how he orchestrates the offense and just plays at his pace. And then watching the mid-range coming out the screen and roll, and watching him do the pick and pop, it's beautiful.
It's mastery what he does. But and I think at this stage of his career, like, he should be the third option. Like, it should be Ayton, and it should be definitely Booker. Booker's unhinged right now. Once he gets back, we'll see it.
But they rely heavily on Booker. So what I'm trying to say is the team is not okay, especially when Crowder's not there. Crowder's not even playing. I don't even know what they're waiting on trading that guy.
What the fuck is going on with that guy? I don't understand that one. I'm sorry.
Well, he thinks that Jay Crowder has not played. He had issues with the management and the coaching staff because they're going to bring the Cam Johnson in as a starter to put Jay Crowder off the bench. So Jay.
And you guys, and we're actually wondering what's going on with Phoenix starting. Well, yeah, again, guys are just, they don't want to, they're not winners. They don't want to do what, they're not willing to sacrifice and do what it takes to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what, Calvin? Yeah, get rid of some guys and bring some other guys. Bring some blue guys in.
And first blood, get that negative energy out of there. But what about with Aiden? So who's out there that can replace what Aiden does? That's available.
Gobert.
No, you can't say
no
that.
way.
Hell no.
I know, I'm joking.
Hey, yeah. Yo, just punch yourself.
Even though I think he gets destroyed a little more than he should, but yeah, we wouldn't fit this team.
No, bro. I saw Rudy Gobert is taking over for Jamal McGee on the shots in the pool, bro.
Yeah, he's doing some good bullshit. The coast-to-coast thing? The coast-to-coast?
Yeah. It's I don't know what to say about him. I try to support him, but yeah, I don't know what to say about him.
He's from Côte d'Ivoire. Don't worry. Anyways, yeah.
Oh, Montreal's coming after your ass just now. Don't worry about that. but it's funny because obviously they got a new owner coming in. What's his name? Matt Ishba, who used to be a walk-on for the Flintstone Michigan State Spartans when they won back in 2000, apparently. So he's taken over the team. He might be a younger mini bomber in terms of being like a huge basketball fan. He played it, being a walk-on, so he played it. So he gets everything that's there in terms of understanding the game a little bit. But we got to factor the new owner thing, right? I mean, it could be better days ahead. And, I mean, Phoenix has always had a great market for basketball. They don't have trouble getting free agents. It's great weather. You know what I mean? Like, they got youth and some experience now. You know what I mean? So, but we just don't know what Matt's going to do in terms of owning this team. But
I think the trade deadline ends in a month, so they got time. You know what I'm saying? So they got time. I think they're, like, right now, they're currently 8th. They've been falling in the standings.
And his injuries, and Booker hasn't been there, right? So, like, I get that. I understand.
But I think that okay, with this current roster, even with Booker there, I do think there'll be a tough out in the playoffs, depending on where they finish. But I think that championship window has gone. That opportunity, you had the Milwaukee Bucks down 2-0, and you couldn't close. You lost 4 games in a row. That will haunt him, Chris Paul, if he doesn't get back to the finals. How's there? But
Doncic bitch slapping them in Game 7, as well as Brunson and those guys last year. I think that was the nail in the coffin for those guys. Because I could not believe I missed the first quarter or the first half. I couldn't believe it was a 30-point lead at halftime. I'll never get over that. And they haven't. Yeah. Apparently, they haven't either. Apparently, they totally haven't either. The last thing I'll add with Chris Paul, though, before we move to the last topic, to add to what you're saying, O'Neal, the one thing with Chris Paul, as great as he is, the one thing I'll say about him, though, man, is there's a level that I think, and this is where when people compare him to Isaiah Thomas, this is where I'm like, okay, slow down. Because as great as Chris Paul is, he doesn't have that gear for scoring when you need it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying every game he's got to give you 30-something, but, like, there's some times where he needs to give you 30. He needs to give you 20-something, and sometimes he gets stuck in being that pure point guard, and that's what hurts him sometimes.
Or he needs to be like big shot Chauncey Billups, right?
Right.
Why did the Detroit Pistons win that 2014? Because Chauncey Billups always made the big shot at the right time.
At the right time,
That's all you need to do. You don't have to drop 30. We just need to make it's all about making the right basketball play at the right time. You need a charge right at this moment to kill the momentum or get a momentum. You need a big three right at this moment to get guys going, right? So Chauncey Billups, I always think of that. Like one of the great things about Chauncey Billups was he always made the big shot when you needed. He made a shot at the moment. He knew the situation. He knew that he wasn't afraid of it, and he always made the big shot when a shot was needed.
That's like Tony Parker too.
Yep.
Because Tony Parker will go into those modes where he's giving you about 25. You know what I mean? Like 25 to 28. It's not like I said. It's not so much the scoring, but there's some games where you're like, you know what? I need that extra 5 to 10 points from you tonight. You know what I mean? It's a big game. We need that little extra from you. And because my classic moment is always that Clippers. There was I think it was last season with the Clippers, and Blake was hurt as usual, and it was Game 7. I think they were playing Utah, and they were down like 10 points in the fourth quarter, and he spent the whole fourth quarter trying to feed DeAndre Jordan, and that always stuck in my head. Like at that point, I was like, yo, I'm off this bandwagon of him winning a chip. Because I'm like, he spent the whole, like, DeAndre Jordan's not a scorer, and they were just fouling him, and he was just shooting, like missing both the free throws or going 1 for 2 from the free throw line. And I'm like, that always stuck in my mind. I'm like, I can't unsee that. So every time I see him after that, I'm like, yo, be a number 2 or number 3, and then we're good. But in terms of influence, yeah, that's awesome. But I'm like, I'm with O'Neal. I'm like, I don't. From that moment, that was like 5-6 years ago. I'm like, yeah, I don't see him as a winner at that point. Even though he's come close from since then, but still. What are you gonna say, Jan?
No, yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate he had some bad injuries at crucial times.
Yeah, that too.
When he was with Houston, we got injured, and
bad luck.
The Clippers, the Clippers' failures was bad. Wow, especially to Houston. That comeback because they're up 3 games to 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think the championship window has closed, and they're just playing for pride right now. It'll be interesting to see what they do at the trade deadline. It'll be interesting to see if they can get this young man engaged, because if he's engaged, that anchor if he can give you 25 and 10 consistently, man, that in the playoffs would be huge, because he can score. He has a good touch.
He can play. Yeah, that's the thing. He can play.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I don't know. I haven't watched enough games to really say, but from what I saw in the highlights and certain games I've seen, it's just interesting to me that they don't go to him consistently, So, like when AD, when LeBron got hurt this year, they made an account to go to him, consistently. They went at him like 5 possessions in a row, and I think that should be okay, we're going to him, force it to him, whether he passes it or not. He's touching the ball every time. That is not happening, and I'm kind of surprised. So what is really going on?
Yeah, it's more than just basketball. Because you're right. With somebody like him, you do that, he's more engaged on everything else.
You know when like a big man blocks a shot and you see him running the floor, it's just a customary rule. Just give him the ball.
Right.
Let him run the floor. Give it to him when he's close enough to make a move to the basket, or give him the ball and give him the ball. Give it how many times do you see someone posting up and you give them the ball? Like a big man.
Yeah.
Right? You're seeing big men posting up for the 3-point line and then working their way down, or mid-range, not in the low block. It's so hard to get there these days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without doing like a rim run. So it's interesting.
Yo, last point I want to make though, in terms of the local hometown team, we don't get a chance to talk about the Raptors quite enough, but Fred VanVleet, he's got a ring. He's been an all-star in terms of last year. He's got an extension coming up this year. Should the Raptors give it to him? Should Masai give him that money?
Let me start this.
Should Masai run him his bread?
No. His best years are behind him. And it's shown, especially since the championship. He's not healthy. His lower legs are done. His lower extremities are done.
You think
you can tell that.
You think it's done?
I don't think. I think his best years are behind him. He's inconsistent because he's not healthy. And so that's what you're seeing. Nurse plays him way too long, and he's breaking down.
Yeah.
So he's a grinder, and his style of game, he's a small guard. And, like, when he drives to the hole, I feel for him because he doesn't have the explosion or the lift, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's so up and down, and his field goal percentage is absolutely abysmal. It's bad.
It's bad.
Like, he wasn't good to begin with, but it's bad.
Yeah. 37%.
He's shooting 37. Sorry.
No, he's shooting 37% from the 38% from the field.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, sorry. I was looking at his minutes. My bad. Yeah. I was just like, wow. As a guard, get in the 40s, my brother. At least as a point guard for the mess that he played. So it tells me that he's not healthy, and I would trade him. I would trade him.
You would trade him right now?
I would trade him. I would trade him. I would not give that extension. I know he's a part of the core and all that stuff, but this is a business. And he cannot lead. He has proven he has not been able to play consistently. He's played his whole career. The lowest he's played was 37 games. He played 76 in 2017. He played 64 in 2018, 54 in 2019, 52 in 2020,
wow.
65 in 2021, and then right now he's at 32. So not bad so far
this year.
But,
at least he's played. Yeah.
But he's missed some games.
But you can, but you can see he's not right physically.
Yeah, but when you see someone that's so inconsistent, okay, with his jump shot or just like his game, okay, something's wrong. And so I have it here. I have a list of his injuries, and it's just like, okay, it's back this year, back, knee, groin. He had some health safety protocol, groin. See, it's all lower leg extremity injuries. So he's not. I don't know if he's working on what he's doing in the off season, but clearly not working out because this is like the third season of this. You know what I'm saying? Something has to change.
That's interesting. Thoughts, O'Neal?
Like I said, I like the Raptors players because they're grinders. They're guys that are professional. They work hard. I love, Fred VanVleet, but he's not. I mean, these guys are role players, bro. These guys are
yeah.
So these guys, unfortunately, they're on the Raptors, and they want, big time money, but they're like role players.
Mm-hmm.
So, they offered him $114 for 4 years.
Well, he said that was never a formal offer. He came out and said that today.
Sure, whatever. He's I don't know what he's betting on. Here's the thing. And again, for me, things are. I just look at actions. You look at the actions that have happened. So when you had Kawhi Leonard here, everybody looked great. Pascal looks great. Fred looks great. Everybody looks great. Why? Because all the attention is on Kawhi.
Yeah.
And it's easy for you to get off here and there. Because, I'm in a coaches chat group and we argue about this. And they're like, look at our championship run. He played great. I'm like, yeah, because Kawhi was here carrying the load. Kawhi
carried a massive load. Holy.
Yeah, so it's easy for guys to
get off.
There's no pressure. There's no pressure.
Because he put Siakam in perfect position to just go off.
But
everybody gets slotted in a proper pay grade.
Exactly. And there's no pressure, and you're not getting the best defenders. People, really are keying on Kawhi. And so it's easier to go off. Now, Kawhi's not here, right? And these guys have irrational confidence, and I get it. As a basketball player, you're not going to say, you have to come in and say, listen, I'm going to do this year, and we're going to do this. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds good, right? It sounds good, but show me. I'm from the show me state. Show me. There's nothing you show me before Kawhi, and there's nothing you show me after Kawhi. Right? So, again, these guys are great players. They're solid players. And obviously being on this team, they could get what the market dictates.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm, Webster and Masai, it's like, thank you, Fred. Appreciate you. We might as well just let's focus on the young boy. What's his name?
Barnes.
That's getting playing time now. What's his name?
Flynn?
Flynn. He's a taller version of you. A little bit faster. He's just as cerebral. But he has a great feel for the game. He's another you, right? Maybe a little bit taller.
Yeah.
So let's trade VanVleet. We got Flynn. There you go.
Yeah, it's interesting because I look at their team and it to me it kind of depends on what you do with them. Like if you're gonna plan to build around Scotty and like guys like Flynn and Koloko and everybody else like right now or after the season, then I think you try to see what you get from in a trade and try to get something for him, or you do like a sign and trade or something like that, and just as long as you get something for him, you know what I mean? I think
sorry to cut you off, my bad, but I think for Barnes' progression, his evolution, because I see like Scottie Barnes as like a modern day Scottie Pippen. He obviously has to work on his offensive sets in the half court.
Still a little raw.
But I think,
No, so it's still a little raw at times.
Yeah, still raw. But like for a second year, obviously he's been playing good of late. But I think they've been trading him at the point guard position. I think that will unlock him because he's not a natural scorer, so it will help him more. So I think they might move to Barnes if they move away from VanVleet. I think they move Barnes to the point guard. What do you think, Kamaka?
Sure, they should play him in the point guard now.
Right now, yeah. Well, they do, I think, because of VanVleet's offensive, like a 3-point shooting, right?
You know, and you can't blame Nick Nurse too, because again, like any college, like any coach where you have a player that's played for you, you know, he's tested, right? Like VanVleet is a grinder. Yes. He plays hard. He competes.
Yeah.
And he has, you know, he has shown up in the playoffs and he's made some shots and he's won some games and he made some big moments. So you have to respect that. You cannot not respect that. And I think that's why he plays so much. And I don't blame Nick Nurse for playing VanVleet. That's his reward. You know, it's not like VanVleet is a guy that cuts corners and doesn't work hard.
No, he's a hard worker. He's a grinder. He's definitely a grinder.
You have to reward. You're basically rewarding him for what he's done in the past, and that's how it should be, right? Mm. But again, get rid of him. I don't think Scottie Barnes. I know people compare him to Pippen, but I think what people really forget, and Jan, you can speak to this, and as players, Calvin can speak to this, is, you know, we become better because of the teammates that we have that are around.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
And Jordan, well, people, you know, like I love Scottie now, you know, and I realize what he's doing is more for the new generation, the guys that never really saw them play, so he could change the narrative. But Scottie Pippen was soft mentally, bro. And because he has somebody like Jordan, and it's because he has somebody like Jordan who was in him, pushing him, pulling dog out of him, and that's what made Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen on another team isn't Scottie Pippen.
Exactly.
Well, you remember? See, a lot of people don't remember. See, the Jordan documentary showcased a lot of things that people forgot. Obviously, the sitting out in the playoffs, but also remember the migraines. Remember the migraines? He didn't play because of migraines.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? I was a kid, and I was like, what? Come on, man.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I was like, yo, man. I was like, I know migraines are tough, man, but yo, I love this game, man. I'm playing tonight, yo.
Honestly, after that happened, I was not a Scottie Pippen fan for the longest time.
Yeah,
until like maybe 3 or 4 years after he retired from basketball.
You started rating his game?
I'm like this guy was a good basketball player. But when he was with the Bulls after that,
no, I disagree.
I was never a Scottie Pippen fan.
I disagree. I love that guy's game. I love this game, and I'll tell you why I love this game. If you remember that first championship, Jordan got murdered that first game because he was trying to guard Magic, and Magic kept posting his ass up. And then Phil Jackson made the greatest coaching move, put Pippen on him to play in full court, disrupted the offense, to completely change the whole outlook because Magic had to really work. He had 5 seconds to run a half-court offense because Pippen was on the ass. You know what I'm saying? So, in that regard, I would say I appreciated his game while he was with Jordan, but I agree he was definitely weak in the earlier stages. You could definitely see the impact and the influence of Jordan towards the championship years. but I like
Scott,
him as like the greatest Robin of all time.
And who does Scotty Barnes have? That's like Jordan. Pascal Siakam? No, like who? Maybe, you know what? Maybe if he came when Kawhi was there.
Kawhi was here, yeah. That would have,
That would have been beautiful.
Because then he really started knowing what.
Because he would have seen the inner workings behind the scenes of the work that guy put in. Yeah.
Right.
And how would you not? How would that not influence you when you're seeing that?
Right. And Kawhi worked with him and Kawhi would spend hours just watching Michael Jordan when he was in college.
Yeah.
He just spent hours and hours studying MJ and then Kobe. So there's a certain mentality that you have. That's why he just has that straight face on that, that robotic look, right?
Yeah.
But again, so yeah, he has potential. But again, Scottie Pippen became Scottie Pippen because of Michael Jordan pulling that dog out of him and forcing him to be tough.
But I don't. Where the two Scotties differ is that Barnes kind of already has that dog in him. But even though I think he's in his head this season, but he's got that dog in him though. Like he's
but I think the offense doesn't showcase him. One, the offense has been pretty piss poor. I'll be honest with you. I've been disappointed to see what they're running because it's just isolation. There's not much ball movement. There's not much player movement.
Yeah,
I don't know what is going on, and I'm surprised because that's his calling card. I couldn't stand watching Dwayne Casey coach because I won't go there, but I won a lot of money after those playoff series. Anyways, with that said, I thought Nurse would have been like the offense worse if he was in the NBA.
Well, Jen, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing that we're, not focusing on, or here's something to think about. How many offenses really flow with ball movement? Or let me rephrase that. For offense to flow with ball movement, you know what you need? You need guys to be able to catch and shoot at a high level, right? So that means they come off screens, they come off pin downs, clears, whatever, and they catch the ball, and they have to be good at it consistently. You understand? The Raptors don't have
anybody like that right now.
I agree, and you said it yourself. They have role players, right? So when your best offense is an isolation play, and you don't have that guy, hence, AKA Kelvin's twin brother DeRozan, AKA Lowry. Those guys are not going to cut it for you. When you're scoring 2 out of 10 on isolation plays consistently, that's not going to go well, both the regular season and the playoffs. This is the year for me with Siakam. This is it. This is it. Because we know he's due for that. If he makes All NBA, where they're currently standing, he won't make that. They have to make the playoffs for him to do that. One,
not necessarily, but go on.
Okay, well, I don't see him making All NBA. Third team, they're not within contention of a playoff spot, the top 8. Okay. Secondly, I'm waiting to see what he does in the playoffs. That's what I'm waiting to see. If he doesn't do it, then I'm sorry. He's not the dude. He's not the guy.
But I don't think he is the dude, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think that's who he is. You know what I mean? Like I think he's So
here's the question you got to ask yourself. Like I said, I was getting to earlier. Well, I know the answer. The question is, do you guys know it? Is MLC going to make that? Let's say he makes All NBA. Are they going to give him that Ultra Lotto Max contract? I don't think so.
That's going to be tough. Yeah,
they're not going to do that. They haven't done that. What moves have they done since the championship? Bear in mind, this season surprises me because last season was a surprise, and I thought they would build from that because they still have a considerable same core. Yeah. They have the same core.
Yeah.
So with that said, and I know they got injuries, but I thought they'll be doing better. So something is going on. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, Scotty's had his issues and stuff. Like, it's a little weird of a clusterfuck as well. Like you definitely see it. But with Siakam, I'm like, it's a tough call. That's why I'm like, do you just focus on Scotty Barnes and try to like blow this up? But that's the funny thing. Like right now, they're in that position that you don't want to be as a franchise. They're in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're right in the middle. They're too good to be in the Wembanyama sweepstakes, but they're not close enough to get another Larry O.B. right now.
I thought heading into the season they would have finished in the top 6. right? Or maybe top
Yeah,
5.
I think when we did our previews, we had them 7th. I think we had them 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So well, I remember it was a lot higher than where they are. So I was surprised, and then because they were kind of rolling, and then Siakam had that injury, and they haven't, and then all these other side injuries on the side, and they haven't found their way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's because of the trade deadline, guys are uneasy because they don't know if they're going to be gone, or they're playing for the last contract in the sense of Trent.
Yeah,
but
Trent's another one that's like he's like really
Bro,
available right now.
Listen to me.
Here we go. Morpheus, go for it.
Who on the Raptors fear in other teams?
No one.
Exactly.
No one.
There you go.
But they are a great team, and they the narrative coming in was Toronto's a tough out because because the thing is they're not great offensively, but their defense will keep them in games. So depending on how they play that day, they have a chance. So that was what I know they're not playing the defense, but they're not even playing the defense now.
But Jan, again, it comes down to in a close game when buckets need to be made.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
You're not afraid of anybody.
Let's keep it up. Let's keep it a buck though. Let's keep it a buck though. The Raptors have always had this problem.
Yes.
Like from when DeMar was here, they've always had, and I'll say it.
Exactly.
They had that problem when Kawhi was here, but we had Kawhi.
Yeah.
So that was we had Kawhi. So that was the capper for everything, right? But we had the same problem with him too.
What problem is that?
In terms of offensively, we struggled to score offensively. The Raptors struggled to score offensively. It's always been a thing for the longest while. But
every team, listen, if you do you watch teams? A lot of teams struggle to score offensively because they don't have a lot of catch and shoot guys. Teams that don't struggle to score offensively are the teams like Golden State Warriors that are great ball move, that have great catch and shoot guys.
Yeah.
You find most teams in the NBA struggle to score offensively. That's why it's ISO basketball, right? Remember, the teams again, go back to summertime. Popovich, when he came back from basically the Spurs, the summertime, when Popovich went to because he's Serbian, went back, will go to Europe and come back. He'll bring the way ball is played overseas, and which is how ball was played in the early days of the NBA, where a lot of ball movement, right? No icing, right? And of course, because the NBA become an entertainment thing, see more ice one-on-one show. But anyway, so that's how you're supposed to play basketball: ball movement, catch and shoot, cut. Right? If you listen to Tony Parker, I remember back then when they called it summertime because Popovich went away in the summertime and came back with this 0.5. The ball hits your hands, 0.5 to make a decision.
Best example was 2014 when they beat down Miami.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was the best way to beat a LeBron's team? You don't play ISO ball. You keep the ball moving, right?
Yeah.
Because if you go ISO, they can lock in on you. But keeping the ball moving.
But that was a team. They had the pieces. They had the core. They had the 3 horses, and they had the right complement players. And then you had the henchman, the head coach, in the sense of orchestrating everything, and the culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So okay,
I know.
Fair enough. Okay. So here's my point.
Well, let O'Neal finish, and then
okay, my bad. Sorry,
but it still comes down to making shots. You need guys that be able to catch and shoot, right? At a consistent basis, at a high clip and consistent basis. They love guys like Bo Cruz, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, right?
Yeah.
But he's a great defender? Probably not. Malachi Flynn, he's a great catch and shoot guy, but he's your great defender? No, that's why he doesn't play. Right? That's why
nobody.
Right? So if you look at the guys that the Raptors have brought in with great shooters, the reason why they're not there anymore is because they can't shoot. Can't play defense.
Can't play defense.
Right? And so, it's like pick your poison, right? And then you wish your top guys can be knockdown shooters, but they're not. So, it's the Raptors just need to get that, to get lucky and find that franchise player that's going to be a top 5 and generational and just dominate.
Okay, so I guess 2 quick questions, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, so we agreed. I guess we all agree here. We're not going to pay FVV that money, right? We're going to let him walk, right? Or we're going to try to get something for him.
I would trade him within the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
I would too.
You would too? Okay, before the deadline?
ASAP. ASAP. Pronto.
Fair enough. That's fine. Now, do you think Scotty Barnes could be that generational player?
No.
None of you guys.
Actually,
I'm going to wait. It's still early. Like with the season, because he started off the season bad.
Mm-hmm.
He's been playing better of late. I'm going to wait to hold judgment off of that. I'm going to hold off.
I'm going to say no.
You're going to say no?
No.
You see sprinklings of it, but it's early.
No.
He's 20 years old. It's a little early.
No.
He's not that guy. If you're not that guy, you're not that guy.
I agree. I just think he's got that.
But he's a cornerstone that you could build around. He could be a main.
What I love about Scotty Barnes is his youthful enthusiasm, the love that he has for the game, the dog that is in him. You know what? He could be, because it's about your mentality, bro. Like, how many guys are built like Giannis? Giannis is an old school, right? Booker's, these guys are like, they live in the gym.
Yeah.
Right? You always hear Booker talk about Kobe told him, be legendary. Giannis doesn't have any friends. He doesn't work out with other guys in the NBA. He's by himself grinding. Even though Giannis still can't shoot, but he's figured out a way to be clutch.
And I love that.
Be that guy.
I love that.
Right? And I don't know if Scotty Barnes is that guy. I don't hear that coming.
Well, I heard this summer he was in the gym crazy, but it hasn't translated yet. But
crazy doing what? Lifting? Crazy what?
Yeah. He wasn't. Hey, listen, man. A lot of these NBA guys do a lot of stuff, put on social media, and it don't translate in the game.
I agree with you, but we could have said the same thing about Giannis year 2 or year 3, right?
You know what? Here's the thing.
But you know he was coming.
But here's the thing too. Here's the thing. What I learned from me being in the gym. Obviously, we go to camp, so you hear NBA guys talk when you're young, and they're like, you got to work hard, or you got to put up this amount of shots. And, one of the things I heard was you got to put up 1,000 shots. Mm-hmm. Okay.
The right shot.
After my first year at St. Mary's, I'm in the gym putting up 1,000 shots. I put up 1,000 shots. I probably put up 1,000 shots a day. But ask me how much of those 1,000 shots I was making.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Right? So the question is, was he working smart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was he? And I give you another example. De'Aaron Fox coming out of Kentucky. He couldn't shoot.
Yes. Look at him now. Look at him now. Wow.
This is what De'Aaron Fox did. He said it. All he focused on was shooting and lifting. That's the only thing he focused on. He spent 80 to 90% of his work time was just focused on shooting. Fixing the mechanic and becoming a better shot.
Just getting that rhythm.
Exactly. So again, mechanics. Fixing his mechanics and being consistent. So again, maybe he was in the gym, but what were you working on? So were you working smart? And that's what I learned, putting 1,000 shots. Daddy not gonna tell that story on the podcast. And
pardon me?
That's what you learn. Hey. And so I'm caught. Hey. And so, that's what I learned from putting 1,000 shots, right? That I wasn't working smart. I was not working smart. And a lot of times guys train and do stuff. I see it now. Guys think they're in the gym and, I was working hard, so I should be. No. You got to work smart, bro. You got to work smart. And I think a lot of guys, they train and they train hard. I know they're training hard. Sometimes you see guys training hard. But are they training smart? Are they working smart? And I think,
hey, Kamaka, were you disputing my time in the gym?
Oh no, Jan, not the bro. You were garbage until I started working with you, and so it's not you at all. Like you're actually my first student, and one of my you.
Oh my
you
God.
had a 10-year pro career, bro.
Oh my God.
You worked.
Hey! You see how he compliments me, but he still backhands me at the same time. Hey, go on, man, go for it.
You took the stuff that I was giving you, and you used it.
Applied it.
Now, part of it too, I was still playing, so I was kicking your ass with it. So so it's making sense. But you work smart. You started working smart. You started figuring it out, and then the game became easy, right? You started working smart, correct?
Yeah, fair enough.
Exactly. And that's what it was. Trust me, once you start working smart.
The one thing that we missed out on, in the sense of like, we were playing ball all the time, but we weren't necessarily working on skill sets.
Right.
So when I went to Oklahoma, like Kamaka, you know, when I went to Oklahoma, I was like, holy, I am not as good as I thought I was. I'm behind. But what got me on the court was I was an exceptional defensive player.
Yeah.
Right?
And you played you competed.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I just think Barnes definitely has I think it's still, his future is still bright.
Oh, very much so.
Of course.
Very much so.
Of course.
You know what I liked about him though? Like the last week when they played Milwaukee, like that was
he went at Giannis. He was no fear.
It was
fear.
It was a terrible game, and he didn't have a good most of the game. Most like the first 3 quarters, first 3.5 quarters, he didn't play well, right? And you could see he was in his head, but he kept attacking. And what I thought was impressive, he had about 3 or 4 post ups that he was getting on Brook Lopez. He
dunked on him too.
He dunked on him, but he had like 3-4 where he was like backing him in his chest. You know, like
he was
like
pissed off. He was pissed.
Little jump hook. And I was like, okay, there's like you got to bottle that right there because he's having a shit night, but he's going against the quote unquote, you know, candidate for Defensive Player of the Year who's 7'1" and I mean if you see Brook Lopez in person, he's massive. You know what I mean? But yet he's getting he's taking him to the block and scoring. That I thought was like you got to bottle that.
Listen, playing behind Anunoby and Siakam is hurting him.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, what do you do with the Raptors right now? Like, and this is why I've been saying from the beginning of the year. I think in the next year or two, there's going to be either a big trade or some trades coming. It has to be when you look at the roster. You just look at the roster, I'm like, there has to be. There's too many 6'8", 6'9" guys. It's great. But that can only last for so long, especially if it's not like Tatum and Jaylen Brown and those guys. It's a little different now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, there's got to be a move coming. I've been saying this in the beginning of the year. There's a move that has to be coming.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a full rebuild because, like I said again, we're a little too good to
I don't think they'll do that. That's not the size history.
Yeah,
man.
and I agree, and that's fine. But I'm like, there's got to be a move or two coming. You know what I mean? I just don't know who it is. Is it Siakam? Do you try to like? For example, like for somebody like we already agree you're gonna get rid of FVV, right? Do you take Siakam, especially if you could trust the culture of Nick Nurse, the Raptors, and everything? Let me see your thoughts because I'm looking at teams of what star could you get that's maybe like a distress asset and maybe you can bring him here and maybe he could take part of that culture and you know maybe like take it to another level. There isn't too many guys that's out there. The one guy I was looking at where I'm like, do you try with him and see? And maybe because of it may unlock a guy like a Scotty Barnes or like even an Anunoby. And I'm afraid to bring him here, but I'm gonna mention his name anyway. What do you make a move and trade, which I think might help both teams in the interim? Do you trade somebody like Siakam before he gets his extension and trade him for Cat?
Mm-hmm.
Or Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, Cat. Yeah, Carl Anthony Towns.
Why not? Yeah, bring Carl Anthony Towns here. I like him. Why not?
Because I'm looking at that and I'm like, I think that might be a proper move.
Yeah, but he was
don't get me wrong. His IQ sometimes scares the shit out of me too.
Oh yeah, he's dumb. Jesus.
You know so I'm not saying this with my chest out, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I think that could be a move where that helps Minnesota. It kind of helps Minnesota, and it kind of helps the Raptors in a weird way. I think. I don't know, and the money kind of matches up. Because that's the thing too with Siakam, what he's demanding, what he's going to make. That's going to be it's close to max money, so that's got to match up too, right? So that's why I'm kind of like, if you get rid of FEV and you switch Siakam for Cat, now you got Cat, Anunoby, Barnes, and now you figure everything else out from there.
I don't. Oh, speaking of high scoring games, on the ticker it's 72-52 at halftime for the Kings over Magic.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
That's every
Which
night.
game had it at halftime? Was it the Nets that had 91 at halftime?
Yep.
In one game?
Yep.
Oh my God.
But that's what I'm talking about. That's the whole point I'm talking about. That's every night.
Was that against Golden State? That was against Golden State without Curry, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But that's my point. That's every night now. Every night
Yeah.
you're seeing at least 2 or 3 games like that, and I'm like, what is happening here?
Because some of these games, I think for Orlando, I think that's the last game of their road trip. So those
tired.
games, that's what they mail it in. You know what I'm saying? They're done. Emotionally, everything. No excuses.
You know what?
Not,
I haven't watched Cat Williams or Cat enough. It's getting late. I haven't watched him enough.
I haven't watched a Pip named Slip Back either, but go on. Sorry, go ahead.
I think he'll play well. He wants to go somewhere where he'll be appreciated. The Raptors fan will definitely, if he plays hard, will definitely show him some appreciation. So I don't know.
I think they'll definitely appreciate. It'll be a good trade because they're not playing the same position as the Barnes.
Right.
Cat can play. Cat will fit in because he can play inside and outside. He'll fit the mold of what they already have.
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna. That's an interesting trade. I never thought of it that way, but I don't see Minnesota won't leave off of Cat.
Yeah.
I mean,
you never know.
Especially after the bad decision of bringing Rudy Gobert there.
True.
I don't.
You're forced with that, but I'm like, but this team is going to be Anthony Edwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm still always amazed at these GMs and what they're thinking. And I'm always reminded of some of these guys how they get their jobs. I'm like, why would you pay that much for Rudy Gobert?
Rudy Gobert, yeah.
What does it show? He's not the guy is on offense is 5-on-4. Like the guy's 7 foot and he's missing layups.
Yeah,
at the rim.
The hoop. Yeah, like, he has no touch.
He has no offensive game whatsoever. He's a great defender.
Great defender. Yeah. But is that worth $200 million?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You overpay these guys. DeAndre Jordan. I remember overpaying DeAndre Jordan. Giving him
man.
I'm like, why are you giving DeAndre Jordan $1 million a year? One of the best centers. The guy has no post moves.
He has no post moves.
Pick and roll, and he dunks the ball. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, my God. These guys getting paid. I'm like, come on, man. You guys are killing me right now.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert, $200 million? These GMs should be slapped in the face.
But this is the point I'm trying to make though. They're struggling right now. You know, Cat obviously he's still hurt. You've given up your whole future for Gobert, so you kind of got to make this work. I'm like, so you can't trade him. You know what I mean? And no team's gonna take him after this because of his salary, right? So that's where I'm like, this is where Cat is
stuck. They're stuck. They have to make it work.
They got to make it work. So that's why I'm like, well, Cat would be the one that's kind of expendable. Because you're going to give Edwards that money. He's young. You're going to give him that money. You're going to extend him. You know what I mean? And then you figure out what D'Angelo Russell or whatever he wants to do. Who cares if they keep him or not? But I'm like, but Cat's the one that's expendable. So that's how I'm just looking throughout the league. I'm like, you don't want to give do you want to trade for Brandon Beal? Not really, because it's not really solving anything. But I think if you put Cat here, it kind of puts everybody in proper position. I just think you got to get rid of somebody. Somebody, like there's a trade coming. Somebody's coming here. I just don't know who it is, but somebody's got to come here. And I'm like, I'm wondering if like Cat's. To me, I'm looking at the landscape. I'm like, maybe Cat's a candidate. And again, his IQ scares me at times. But
yeah, he's dumb. He hasn't been playing. He's been injured.
Yeah, he's been injured too.
So that's a risky one because you don't know, because that was a bad, scary injury. And
it was only a calf pull, thank God. But we thought it was Achilles. Right?
Something else, yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like, that's another risk. Because one thing, if you trade him, you don't know if you're going to be able to keep him. Secondly, with Sai, he's obviously gone the African route because they know that those guys will be loyal and they'll stay. Right? Yeah. So he's trying to find his Michael Jordan, his African Michael Jordan. That's what he's trying to do.
He's trying to find his Giannis. That's what he's trying to find. Yeah.
Fair enough. But until then, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, only players that want to stay in Toronto are Europeans and Africans. Americans are not mature enough to understand and appreciate what this great city has to offer. So, that's why you always have these guys in these short contracts that they bounce out of here the moment they can.
Mm-hmm. What I was going to say, except for Caravana Weekend. Except for Caravana Weekend.
They come in abundance. And but you know what I'm saying? Like, let's face it, these guys don't understand and appreciate what this city has to offer. Hence why these guys don't want to stay here for too long. But Vince Carter, look at his career now. He would stay in Toronto. But Grady would have done the same thing. But they're not at the maturity level as these young millionaires are, these American guys are. They want to go back and stay in the States because that's what they're comfortable with, that's what they know. So that's the dilemma. If you trade someone like Siakam and Anunoby, who are pretty much down for the cause and willing to stay here, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to take that risk. You already traded the one American that wanted to be here, which was DeRozan, and you hurt that guy's thing for the gamble getting the ring. You got the ring. Now what?
He's still talking about it. I mean, hey, listen, I do that trade again 100 times out of 100. We got a ring.
Oh, for sure you do. Of course you do.
We all went to Young Street. O'Neal, you was at the parade, right?
You damn right out there.
we was all there. We was all there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
I'll do that again. That was worth it. It was worth
it.
Let's be clear.
Oh, for sure.
It was worth it.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. and then let's not deny that. Okay, listen. They caught lightning in a bottle. They had the perfect complementary team to add a perfect star. It was the perfect scenario because you had the ultimate mind who doesn't talk, who's just a gym rat. You had the leaders. You had a veteran locker room. You had Gasol, all those guys.
Great
and
trade.
Siakam of the young blood. Great. Then you had Nurse and his offensive victory and defense. This guy introduced the zone in the finals, and people were ripping him. Till the next year, everyone was doing it. Yeah. Miami has a zone defense that they play all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, okay, so it's an interesting dilemma that the Raptors are in, and they're not only mortgaging the situation for now, they're mortgaging the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it bears watching. I mean, in Masai we trust, man. So I know you know what it is. But again, with Kawhi, distressed asset, right? 18 games or 8 games the year before. That whole situation in San Antonio was rocky, and Masai swooped in, and everything landed perfectly. And then the 4 bounce shot made it like you got to have some luck in there too, right? So. Mm-hmm. Like all that worked our way. The gods were shining on the 6.
The load management they did with them too. Wow.
Yeah,
everything. They were okay with it. They were okay with it because they knew what was at stake. Mm-hmm. Clippers are pissed now because this guy's missing games, and he's kind of pissed off with the staff too. So it's a whole bunch of different things. But it's just interesting to see how things have unfolded.
Yeah, Raptors have one of the best staffs too when it comes to the training and the load management side of it, as you saw. Right?
Yeah.
They thought they could mimic it, but they couldn't.
No.
Right, so that's the issue. So I guess we'll wrap it up on that note. The Rye High remix of the Ave Podcast, man. It was long overdue. Way overdue. Way overdue. We got to do this again closer to the playoffs for sure. We got to bring this back for the playoffs for sure. But
I'm down for it for sure.
Yeah, man. But I appreciate the both of you guys for coming on and sharing some jokes. And yeah, I didn't think the Raptors section was going to go that far, but shit, we do got to talk about the home team a little bit. So
definitely.
No, absolutely, man. Appreciate you all.
No, thank you for having me, man. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the latest episode of the Ave Podcast. And special shout out to my Ryerson brethrens, my Rye High guys, Jan Michael Nation and O'Neal Kamaka for discussing everything that's been happening within the landscape of the NBA, which includes a local team here in Toronto, home of the Raptors. And they'll be back sooner than later. I'll make sure of that. I'll be back with a new episode next Friday for you to listen to. Check out my latest interview with Joel Anthony to start off the year from last week. Go back and double back and check that one out, which you can check on all platforms, including YouTube, on my South Sharav YouTube channel. And you can double back as well on my website. That's southsharav.com. All right, check it out. Hit the rate and reviews and subscribe options. Show me some love, please. Thank you. My name is Cal C. And you just tuned into the latest episode of the Ave Podcast right here on South Sharav Radio. All right, thanks once again to O'Neal Kamaka and Jan Michael Nation. Until next week, we're gone.